Today's topic I want to discuss, can I roll over a 401k into a Roth IRA? And it really just depends. It depends whether you're still working for your current employer, whether you're leveraging old 401k accounts, and then you're rolling those over into Roth IRAs, and then ultimately what is the benefit to do that? So I'm going to go through four main areas that you guys should really understand, and then really leverage those four main areas to figure out whether or not it's a situation you should move forward with. So the number one thing is tax implications. What I mean by that is anytime that somebody's going to take monies from a 401k account, let's say a traditional 401k, and roll that over or convert it into a Roth IRA, you're going to get taxed on those monies that you're doing the conversion on. So if somebody has $500,000 as an example in their 401k account and they say, oh, this sounds great, and to actually take a step back, a 401k account, what's happening is when you're working for that employer, you're placing monies into that plan. It's growing tax, you're getting a tax deduction on those contributions you're making. It's growing tax deferred so that when it comes time for retirement, you start taking out withdrawals, those monies are going to be fully taxed. That's how the traditional 401k works. With a Roth IRA, what happens is an individual places monies into a Roth IRA account. They do not get the tax deduction. The monies grow within that account tax-free, and you're able to pull your monies out tax-free as well. So because one is growing tax-free, allow you to have your monies out tax-free, while the other you get the tax deduction, it grows tax deferred and your withdrawals are going to be fully taxable. There's a difference between those two. By taking it from that taxable account or that pre-tax account and putting it into the Roth monies, the IRS is going to say, hey, listen, you have to, at least pay some sort of taxes for that. So that's why they do that conversion. That's where, if, in that example, you have 500,000, let's say if somebody goes and they take the full $500,000 amount and they convert that into the Roth IRA account, well, then that's going to show as if they made an additional 500 grand that year. Just for the most simplistic purposes. Obviously, there's different write-offs and different things that individuals could do, but for simplistic purposes, that's a large chunk. That could throw that individual into a higher tax bracket. It could have a whole slew of different problems. So understand those different tax implications, and then also understand how to possibly stay underneath the radar to make sure you're not jolting into that next tax bracket. So like as an example, let's say you have that same 500,000, but somebody wants to go and leverage that out for 10 years, well then they could do conversions of $50,000 per year for the next 10 years, knowing that after all 10 years are said and done, that full 500,000 is going to be converted into Roth monies. So what they're doing is they're biting the bullet a little steps at a time and still staying under the cusp or still staying within their tax bracket, so they're not getting hit with a large tax hit all at once. So that's the tax implication aspect. The number two most important thing is the eligibility requirements. If let's say you're working for an employer and they don't allow you to do in-service rollovers and you're not retired and you don't hit a specific age, well then you might have to just sit in that 401k account and you can't do the conversion. One of the things that's typically wise is with a Roth IRA account, individuals that make too much money, they phase out of contributing to a Roth IRA account. But you could still create a Roth IRA account and just have it at a $0 balance. So if you create that Roth IRA account, have it at a $0 balance, and you do the conversions, it's a way that allows individuals that, let's say, phase out of a typical Roth IRA, when you're doing the conversions, it ultimately acts like a contribution, even though what's happening is being converted. So it allows somebody to take pre-tax monies and place it into a Roth IRA chassis. So that's where the eligibility comes in. Typically when somebody's eligible, it's when they're using old 401k monies because they're no longer working for that employer, so they're able to roll those monies over into a traditional IRA, able to convert those dollars into a Roth IRA. That's a very simple move. If let's say somebody's working for their employer, sometimes when you hit 59 and a half, that employer will allow you to do an in-service rollover, an in-service conversion into that Roth IRA account. And then other times it just goes by the date that you hit your retirement date. So when you really stop working for that company, let's say you want to retire at age 65, and then it's at that point where you stop working for the company, so now you're eligible to do the rollover. So it's very important to understand the eligibility requirements, because if you're not eligible for it, everything could sound fantastic with a Roth conversion, but if you can't have it, you can't have it. So that's something to be mindful of, and to really see if you want to obviously increase your energy towards figuring this stuff out, or maybe you have to basically sit on the sidelines until you are eligible. The number three thing, and really in my mind, is the retirement goal. Is the most important thing. Is if your goals aren't in line with creating those Roth conversions, and you're not going to have mathematical benefit by doing the conversion, well, then don't convert. If you're in a lower tax bracket, if you're completely fine with just leveraging the 401k dollars and then maybe rolling that into a traditional account so that you're avoiding any sort of conversion tax because you can't afford to pay that conversion tax, and then really throughout retirement you're going to have very limited income sources and limited assets, it might not make sense to do it. This is more for the individual that says, when I hit my retirement stage, I want to receive income, and I want to receive income tax free. So obviously there's a large benefit to do so, but you have to make sure that it's in line, with your goals, with your retirement goals. If it's not, if you only have a few $1,000s of assets and doing this whole hop, skip, and a jump is going to be a detriment, well, then you might want to make sure to avoid that at all costs. Where we come in is really this step 4, and that's where creating a proper strategy or creating a proper plan. So the most important thing for any sort of retirement planning process is having a plan, is having some sort of financial plan. So we have a trademark process known as the Retirement Diet Plan, where I created that acronym DIET, D-I-E-T, so that it's very easy for somebody to understand whether they're on the correct step. So the D stands for distribution strategies. Now, when we unravel distribution strategies in correlation to Roth conversions, where does that come in? Well, we understand if somebody is taking monies in retirement, they're taking it tax-free, that could be beneficial. If you have an account that you're taking $100,000 from and it's tax-free versus an $80,000 account that you're taking tax-free, an $80,000 tax-free distribution, or you're taking from a $100,000 account that you're going to have to pay 30% taxes on, well, you're going to net more with the tax-free account. So all these different factors come into play to show you, and this is where our financial planning software comes in, and we help out individuals understand whether or not they should be doing Roth conversions. If so, how much should they convert as per each year? So if, let's say, they're nearing up for retirement and they're about 5-10 years out from retirement, well, they could start taking those steps now as they're working, and maybe they have these extra discretionary monies to pay for that Roth conversion tax. The other aspect is also Roth conversions, they don't incorporate the provisional income with Social Security income. So Social Security income could be taxed up to 85% of your Social Security income could be taxed to your tax bracket. So with that, if there's ways on how you could create strategies to reduce the amount of taxation on your Social Security, that just allows you to net more dollars, allows you to have maybe less working years, use less dollars in savings in your qualified accounts, into your retirement accounts, into your checking account, savings account, whatever that is, to help pay for that gap with your distribution strategy. So with the distribution strategy, it all talks about what are your current income sources, what are your income sources going to be throughout retirement, what are your expenses now, what are your expenses going to be in retirement, are there going to be drop-offs in expenses, and then making sure that we're mathematically creating some sort of strategy to match those up. If there's a gap there, how do you make sure to close up that gap and create an income related strategy? Then you move on to step 2. Step 2 is the I stands for investments or growth planning, and that could be tackled a couple different ways. First and foremost, it's important to understand what your risk tolerance is, understanding exactly where your current investments are held, and seeing if there's a better avenue to either make tweaks with if you're sitting in a 401k account, how to make sure that you're allocating your strategies out properly that's in line with your risk tolerance, that's in line with your goals. If, let's say, you want to be more risk averse and you want to sit more into fixed or fixed index accounts, well, there's certain strategies, certain mechanisms with that. Or pure growth, you might want to put a sliver, just have a full out growth, but making sure that you're reducing your expenses with the different investments that you're choosing. So that's where I comes in with the investment or growth related section of the retirement diet plan. Then the E stands for estate planning. This could mean a couple of different things. First and foremost, if you're watching this video, make sure that you have your beneficiaries are intact. If you have IRA accounts, you have 401k accounts, make sure that you have your beneficiaries lined up so that if you pass away, it doesn't just go to your estate and then there's a whole big slew of different problems. Maybe some individuals like to have a type of inheritance maximization to say, you know what, I know that I'm never going to touch these dollars and I want this going to my kids, going to my grandkids. So how do you make sure that that's structured out properly? So really that death benefit aspect of any sort of retirement plan or financial plan. And some individuals don't really care about it. Some individuals, that's super important to them. So it really just depends upon the situation. And then the T stands for tax planning. And this is really where the conversions come in, understanding exactly what your taxes are right now, what your taxes could be throughout retirement, how that could either be beneficial, how that could be a detriment to you, and then whether or not a conversion is necessary. You know, there's times where I'm looking at a plan, I'm talking to an individual and saying, okay, you know, everything on the surface sounds great, but then when we're going through the different financial planning softwares and we're seeing all that different minutia, there's different ways on how an individual could make these very slight tweaks here and there and result in thousands and thousands of more dollars by just utilizing these different Roth conversion strategies and how it helps out with the ultimate picture, with the ultimate diet plan. So once again, if you found value in this video, feel free to give our 1-800 number a call. It's 1-800-566-1002. Reference this video so we could have the correct advisor reach out to you or set up a time that works most convenient for you. And then also feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retire Sharp, so you could have access to the most updated videos. Thanks so much, guys.